Hi, you've tuned into a stimulus webinar presentation by Jigsaw Tax and Advisory. Today's presentation concerns individuals and sole traders and the benefits that they can access under the various stimulus packages. General disclaimer, please note all information given during this presentation is general in nature and should not be relied upon without professional advice specific to your situation. And the information provided is based on what is available as at today's date, being the 7th of April 2020, and this may change in the future. As a bit of an introduction, the Australian federal and state governments are providing financial assistance to Australians to support them through the COVID-19 outbreak. These payments include the JobKeeper payment for households, the Job Seeker and Income Support payment for individuals, payments to support households as a whole, the temporary early release of superannuation, the debt management and compliance assistance available, and all other assistance currently available under the stimulus packages provided by the federal and state governments. We'll run through each of these points in detail just so you have an idea of how to access these payments and what they could mean for you. Your situation is different depending on whether you employ staff. So as this presentation covers both individuals and sole traders, when we refer to a sole trader, this could mean that you are the only worker or you may employ staff. With individuals, this could mean you are still employed, you've been stood down, or your employment may have been terminated after 1 March 2020. Right now is about survival. So we really should be asking ourselves the questions, how do I make the money I have last as long as possible? And what benefits can I access? If you are a sole trader, one of the first benefits you can access is the JobKeeper payment. Now, this payment is set to be legislated Wednesday, the 8th of April 2020, and upon its legislation, what we should see is a flat payment of $1,500 per fortnight per eligible employee before tax. This payment has been extended to those who are self-employed. So for our sole traders, even if you do not have an employee within your business, if you meet the eligibility criteria, which is a 30% reduction in turnover to a comparable period last financial year, you will be eligible for the $1,500 per fortnight. This payment commences for employees as of 30 March 2020, with the ATO back paying payments as of the 1st of May 2020. We should see these payments progress through the next 6 months at minimum. And again, this can change with legislation considerations ready to go on the 8th of April. Just worth noting, for those of us who have recently commenced working through a sole trader, the tax commissioner will have certain levels of discretion to consider alternative tests in the event that you do not have a comparable period 12 months ago. So this may occur if you've recently taken on a business, or you have only just started business, or you have lumpy income in your business. So you're a sole trader with seasonal income. You may have very high peaks over Christmas and very low peaks for the rest of the year, but can still substantiate a 30% economic downturn, or rather a 30% fall in turnover compared to where you estimated you should have been this time of year. If you are not eligible, or you choose not to be eligible for the JobKeeper payment, the other option is the coronavirus supplement and job seeker payments and allowances. Now, this is a $550 stipend per fortnight paid in addition to Centrelink payments that you may be receiving at this point, including the newly named Job Seeker payment, previously New Start. In order to be eligible for the Job Seeker payment, you must be between the ages of 22 and pension age, and you must have an income less than $1,075 per fortnight. Now, this also has a spousal income test. So if you are not single, your spouse, if they are still employed, must be earning less than $79,000 per year. In order to apply for the coronavirus supplement, The easiest way is creating a MyGov account and linking this through to the Centrelink applicable page, and doing this via the my.gov.au login services. In addition to this, if you qualify, you may be able to access other benefits such as rent assistance, energy supplements, pharmaceutical supplements, and family tax benefits. So it's worth noting that if you are a sole trader who employs additional staff, there are eligibility requirements for them that you may be subject to, and we will discuss those later on in the presentation. Just to recap on that JobKeeper in detail, the JobKeeper payment is set to be legislated this week, and we'll see eligible business types, including sole traders, entitled to a flat fee of $1,500 per fortnight per employee before tax. Payments from the ATO are not expected to commence until 1 May 2020, but employers are expected to offer the payment option to employees from 30 March 2020 to retain the employment relationship with them. Eligibility for entities with a turnover of less than $1 billion requires that you have experienced a reduction in turnover greater than 30% to a comparable period last financial year. So if we were reporting on our BASs quarterly, we would expect to compare the period January to March 2019 to the period January to March 2020. Registration at this point for the JobKeeper payment is available via an expression of interest. So this can be done via the ATO website, and from there it will be followed up by a subsequent online application to be provided by the ATO, and this will have to include details of any eligible employees you may hold as a sole trader. If you're an individual, you have the possibility of applying for similar payment types, including the JobKeeper payment. So as an eligible employee of a business that has seen a reduction of turnover greater than or equal to 30%, comparable to a period last financial year, you will be entitled to a minimum payment of $1,500 per fortnight before tax. Now, in order to be eligible for this, you must be an Australian citizen, the holder of a permanent visa, or a special category visa, so a subclass visa 444, and your employer has to be qualified and they need to apply for the payment on your behalf. So if you feel that you would benefit from this payment and you can see a downturn in work, in your general employment, it would be worth getting in touch with your employer as the process kicks off with them. We'll provide further information on eligibility just to make sure that you're completely across it as individuals seeking to receive the JobKeeper payment. As an individual also working within the similar qualifications for the Job Seeker payment and the coronavirus supplement, you can receive up to $550 per fortnight for 6 months. This payment will be paid to both existing and new recipients of the Job Seeker payment, previously New Start allowance, those who are receiving youth allowance, the parenting payments, farm household allowance, and other special benefits. Now, it's really worth noting that job seeker payments are subject to an income test. So in order to pass this income test, you must be earning less than $1,075 per fortnight. And if you are in a de facto or relationship, so if you're in a relationship per the guidelines provided by Centrelink, your spouse's income must be less than $79,000 per year. So in order to access these payments, the directions are the same for individuals as they are sole traders. Create a MyGov account, link it to Centrelink, and apply via my.gov.au/login services. In addition, by qualifying for this payment, so the Job Seeker payment over the JobKeeper payment, you may be able to access other benefits, including rent assistance, energy supplements, pharmaceutical benefits, and the family tax benefits if you have dependent children. Centrelink and Human Services have a number of payments available to sole traders and individuals. We've included a quick summary that we'll pace through one by one of these various financial assistance packages, but it's worth noting that some of these are pretty crucial in accessing during this period of economic downturn. So if you have kids, you may be eligible for a parenting payment under Centrelink and Services Australia. have a quick look at the test provided on the Services Australia website. So that's www.servicesaustralia.gov.au. With rent assistance, if you are currently renting a property that is not a self-contained residence with your parents, so that may typically be a granny flat, a caravan, or a tiny house, you may be eligible for rent assistance if you are receiving another payment from Human Services or Services Australia or Centrelink. This rent assistance will come through automatically as you declare the amount of rent you're paying during the application process for other benefits, but bear in mind there's a minimum amount of rent you need to pay to get this assistance. It's worth noting, if you are under 22, it would be worth applying for the youth allowance instead of the job seeker. Because the job seeker allowance requires that you be over the age of 22, but under pension age, you are back to youth allowance, which may mean that you can still receive the coronavirus supplement, so the additional $550 per fortnight. If you've reached the age pension age, you will need to apply for the aged pension. So again, back on the job seeker tests, if you're not between 22 and pension age, you're on the other end of the scale where you're applying for the age pension via Human Services and Services Australia. Worth noting, you can be eligible for the two separate one-off payments of $750. So this is a direct cash stimulus payment. If you were already receiving a benefit as of 1 March 2020, this would have automatically flowed through in the recent boost provided in April. We will see another $750 payment come through as of the 13th of July 2020. So if you have recently stepped on, so after 1 March 2020, to a welfare assistance or Commonwealth assistance package, you may be entitled to an additional $750 cash. There is no need to apply for this $750. It will be automatically processed if you qualify. In addition to maintaining the household, there is utility provider support available with a number of Centrelink packages. So with a loss of income, you could be finding it difficult to pay for utilities, including gas, electricity, and water. What you can do is phone your provider and ask for the customer assistance program. Every provider is obligated to have this service under Human Services, Services Australia and Centrelink, and they can help you come up with a payment plan to help you meet debts incurred on utilities. This means that you won't be cut off from those household necessities during COVID-19 crisis or during our current lockdown. So, private healthcare is also really worth noting. Many healthcare funds have postponed the upcoming April 1 premium increases for at least the next 6 months. In addition, the government rebate for private health insurance policyholders has been frozen up until April 1, 2021. So this will have some impacts as we get through your basic compliance activities. As an individual or sole trader, you will still be required to lodge a tax return, and a lot of these payments will be counted towards your assessable income and your final tax position at year end. Now, in a recent media release from the Prime Minister Scott Morrison and the Minister for Education, we have seen a substantial childcare subsidy come through. So under the plan, the government will pay 50% of each childcare centre's fee revenue up to the existing hourly rate cap, but only on the condition that the centres remain open and do not charge families for the care. Scott Morrison said that the funding would apply from the 6th of April and centres would be paid according to the number of children who were in care, attending or not, during the fortnight leading up to March 2nd. Priority will be given to working parents, parents with pre-existing enrolments, and those with vulnerable or disadvantaged children. The system will be reviewed after 1 month, with an extension to be considered after 3 months. The payments will be paid in lieu of the childcare CCS and additional childcare ACCS subsidy payments. Restarting your enrolment will not require you to send your child to childcare, and it certainly won't require you to pay a gap fee, Tenen had said, so the Minister for Education. Restarting your enrolment will, however, hold your place for that point in time when things start to normalise and you're ready to take your child back to their centre. So this is worth noting that we won't be expecting to pay a gap fee while re-engaging childcare services for our children, with the eventual aim that everything will continue as per normal when this all normalises. Finally, looking at debts and management and compliance obligations, the Commissioner of Taxation is encouraging businesses and individuals impacted by the coronavirus to get in touch with the ATO to discuss relief options. The ATO have been particularly lenient to this point regarding payment plans and interest-free periods. So worth noting that we've got some direct quotes here. Once you contact the ATO, they'll supply a tailored support plan for your needs and circumstances. Support measures could include deferral of some payments, quicker access to GST refunds, and the option to enter low-interest payment plans for existing or future tax debts. Outside of business, the ATO will also work with individuals experiencing financial hardship and their tax agents, and will apply appropriate tax relief measures for serious and exceptional circumstances, such as where people cannot pay for food or accommodation. It's worth noting that employers will still need to meet their ongoing super guarantee obligations for their employees, as this is outside the realms of the ATO. So if you're a sole trader with staff, really important that you are meeting those superannuation cutoff dates per quarter. When we look at tenancy arrangements and the rights of tenants at this point who may be renting, we have seen a couple of very specific packages come through addressing your rights during the economic turndown. So, tenants, there has been a nationwide 6-month ban on some evictions of commercial and residential tenants who may be struggling financially because of COVID-19. The 6-month moratorium on evictions will be legislated under each state and territory jurisdiction, and so far none of them have provided details on how this will play out. You can attempt to negotiate with your landlord if you are already in arrears. It's better to be proactive at this point. The New South Wales government has banned open house inspections, and this also applies for the ACT, where premises are up for sale or lease, and landlords and agents can still show a single party the premises after they've made an appointment with a tenant for individuals. So basically what we're looking at now is that this will be legislated on a state-by-state basis. So it is worth getting in touch or having a look at your specific state's website to see what your rights are as a tenant and under the tenancy laws governed by your state. On the flip side of this, we look at if you're a landlord, so a commercial or residential landlord, and what your rights currently are during a period of economic instability. For commercial landlords, the Australian Banking Association's Small Business Relief Package gives businesses with loans of up to $10 million the chance to defer repayments for 6 months. Eligible businesses include commercial landlords of properties such as the local shopping centre, pubs, clubs and restaurants. The new measures will apply in all sectors of the economy on an opt-in basis under the following 4 conditions. For commercial property landlords, they provide an undertaking to the bank that for the period of the interest capitalisation, they will not terminate leases or evict current tenants for rent in arrears as a result of COVID-19. The customer has advised that its business is affected by COVID-19. The customer was current in terms of existing facilities 90 days prior to applying, and interest is capitalised, meaning either the term of the loan is extended or payments are increased after the deferral period of 6 months. For our residential landlords, at this stage, it is still very much within the state government and territory government discussion sphere. There are protections and rights underway, and we have seen some news today regarding commercial landlords and residential landlords. So keep an eye out for changes from your state or territory government. Regarding estate planning and enduring powers of attorney, The COVID-19 legislation amendment, being Emergency Measures Bill 2020, New South Wales, was passed on the 24th of March 2020 and includes a regulation making power to allow documents, such as the will, power of attorney, appointment of enduring guardians, to be executed in a manner other than prescribed by the applicable rules and regulations. At this stage, the person signing the document and the witness must be physically present and sign at the same time, which is not practical in the current world we live in. The Law Society of New South Wales is working with the government to enact regulations in accordance with the regulation making powers as soon as possible. If you or a family member pass away during this period, where you die without a will, the relevant state-based legislation will govern who can administer your estate and who your estate will be left to, meaning it may not necessarily be what you want. Whilst a will kit may seem like a cheap and easy option at this time, the complications it can cause may outweigh the savings. Like any illness, prevention is better than a cure, so investing in the initial upfront costs now to get a correct and bespoke will and power of attorney in place for you will pay off in the long run. So if you begin to lose capacity or you're in self-isolation, where a person has lost capacity and becomes incapable of managing their own affairs during the period of self-isolation, their attorney appointed under the Enduring Power of Attorney and Medical Treatment Decision Maker / Enduring Guardian Act or legislation or instrument will. Now, it's worth noting that estate planning and enduring powers of attorney have changed due to amendments engaged as part of the stimulus packages and response to COVID-19. In particular, the COVID-19 legislation amendment, the Emergency Measure Bill 2020, released in New South Wales and passed on the 24th of March 2020, includes a regulation making power to allow documents such as wills, powers of attorneys, and appointments of enduring guardians to be executed in a manner other than prescribed by the applicable rules and regulations currently in place. At this stage, the person signing the document and the witness must be physically present and sign at the same time, which is not practical in the current world we live in. The Law Society of New South Wales is working with the government to enact regulations in accordance with the regulation making powers that have been awarded under the bill, and we should see changes come through as soon as possible. In the event you have a loved one or you pass away during the COVID-19 crisis, and generally when you die without a will, the relevant state-based legislation will govern who can administer your estate and who your estate will be left to, meaning that this may not necessarily align with your wants and wishes. Whilst a will kit may seem like a cheap and easy alternative at this point to a custom will package, the complications that a poorly formatted will can cause really outweigh the savings you'll make on a cheaper will kit. Like any illness, prevention is better than a cure. So investing in the initial upfront costs of a custom will now may pay off significantly in the long run. For those of us who have elderly family members, or if we ourselves lose capacity during a period of self-isolation, where a person has lost capacity and becomes incapable of managing their own affairs, their attorney appointed under an Enduring Power of Attorney or EPOA and a Medical Treatment Decision Maker / Enduring Guardian will step in. If an Enduring Power of Attorney and appointment of a medical treatment decision maker / guardians are not in place at this time, someone who has an interest in your affairs makes an application to your government, so your state government, whether that be New South Wales, ACT, Tasmania. In this case, with the New South Wales, it would be an application to the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, or NCAT, for administration and financial guardianship orders. Enduring powers of attorney can also be useful even when a person has capacity. For example, if you are stuck overseas or in self-isolation, your attorney can act on your behalf in relation to your property and financial matters. So whilst formatting a will, you will be given the option to engage an additional enduring power of attorney. So really worth getting in touch with a legal professional to run through your options in this. What it is important to remember here is that you are formulating a contingency plan. Just like with the doomsday preparation hoarding supplies, you are putting in place a temporary plan in the event of a worst case scenario. Given the crisis has been labelled as a pandemic, it is no longer appropriate to think this will not happen to me. So we strongly advise that you get in touch with a legal practitioner or a registered lawyer to have a look at your will options during this period and really shore up your estate and any EPOAs or enduring power of attorneys that may be missing. Also released in the stimulus packages was the ability to access superannuation early. Now, this included the ability to access $10,000 of your superannuation tax-free this financial year and another $10,000 in the new financial year, so after 30 June 2020. With this payment, in order to be able to access it, you must be unemployed or eligible for the JobSeeker or the Youth Allowance for JobSeeker payments. Now, that means that there will be a number of income tests. So if you are already in receipt of the JobSeeker payment, so you've seen a reduction in your fortnightly income below $1,075 per fortnight, after 1 January 2020, you were made redundant or you were working hours that were reduced by 20% or more. If you're a sole trader and your business was suspended or there was a reduction in your turnover of 20% or more, you will be eligible to withdraw money out of superannuation. Applications can be made via an online form that you will complete and submit to the ATO. You will be able to apply for early release of your superannuation from 20 April 2020. Once again, it is important to note any withdrawal of superannuation may have long-term impacts, so we strongly encourage that you get in touch with a financial planner or registered financial advisor to talk through your circumstances where possible. Regarding the banks and lending, we have seen releases for businesses and individuals that include a 6-month loan repayment holiday provided by banks. So if you currently have a home loan or a personal loan with a registered bank, you will be eligible to contact them and request a 6-month loan repayment holiday. Really worth noting at this point, the banks have openly come back and said that interest will continue to accrue and capitalize during this period, so you may have to extend your loan terms past this point. The government is also guaranteeing unsecured loans to small business, so our sole trader clients, of up to $250,000 in a partnership with the banks. The loans will be available for up to 3 years with no repayments for the first 6 months, and these loans will commence in April 2020. Right now, planning is key. So no one really knows what's going to happen with this virus, but the more you can plan for and be on the front foot with, the better the chances you have of riding out the storm. Like we've said to our business clients in multiple seminars, your mental health is crucial at this point. And we understand that everyone is experiencing substantial stress and anxiety. We need to talk to each other and be compassionate about what we're going through. Where possible, seek help. There are plenty of resources available online. So really step up and engage those mental health services if you feel you are at a point of vulnerability. And as a tax and advisory service, we are here to help. So you can follow us on our Money Honey Media podcast on iTunes or Spotify. You can catch Joe McCauley directly on the Tradie Wags newsletter, which covers everything from individuals to wives and girlfriends of tradies to those who are in the tradie services themselves. Or you can get in touch with us directly at reception@jigsawtax.com.au or via our social media pages. We will be including links to additional forms should you seek or wish to receive professional advice regarding your specific circumstances. So be sure to address those and get in touch. It has been a pleasure. Note that the information is out there, so have a quick look at treasury.gov.au for further information that may apply to you, or as an individual, have a run through the servicesaustralia.gov.au website for more information. Thanks.